Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you this beautiful eye makeup using one of the most expensive eyeshadow palettes I've ever purchased. This is a cooler toned palette which has some incredible eyeshadow colours, and I wanted to use a mix of them which has created this almost ombre, unicorn, metallic pearl, iridescent finish. So the palette I'm talking about is this one by Pat McGrath. This is the Subliminal palette and it is divine and super expensive. Is it worth £119? Let's see. I'm going to start with Ultimate Taupe, which is a matte finish. As you can see, there are a mix of finishes in this palette. And I'm going to use this BK Beauty 206 blending brush to work this onto the socket of the eye. I actually received these brushes in the post as a gift and I thought I would try them out, and I'm so impressed with them. This is not a sponsored post. The fibres are a vegan synthetic material, so you can use them with both cream and powder based products, and I've noticed on their website they have a happiness guarantee, so if you are unhappy for any reason they will refund you or replace them. They just want to make you happy, but I'm so impressed with them and I'm going to put them through their paces so you can see what they are capable of today. And if you like them, I will link them in the description bar along with everything that I use in today's tutorial. Okay, so as you can see, I've buffed that in through the socket and up towards the brow bone. I'm now taking this shade from Nude Sticks, which is called Prism. I wanted to lay down a cream base underneath my eyeshadow just for extra impact. A lot of shimmer shades give you the shimmery particle but not a lot of colour, so I thought I would lay down this because it's almost identical to the powder finish from the palette. So that's going on the inner half of the eye. I'm also going to do the same for the blue shade, so I'm taking this Rimmel Scandalised pencil and this is going on the outer half of the eye, and then we're just going to roughly scribble that on, and then we will use a brush to soften the colour. You could of course go straight in with the eyeshadow palette, but this is great for longevity. If you're going to go out of your way to do something that's really kind of dramatic, you want it to last all day, so having a base underneath your eyeshadow will help it to stay there. It will also help to make the pigment that much more intense. I was going to use one of my new brushes for this, but I have this particular flat shader brush that I only ever use with blue or green eyeshadow because it has stained the bristles and I don't want to ruin any other brushes, so I keep this one just for my blue toned eyeshadows. The next shade I'm going to apply is called VR Violet, and I'm going to use this new flat shader brush from What's Up Beauty. These are also new releases from this particular brand, and I love this flat shader brush because it's slightly more narrow than your generic one, so if you have slightly smaller lids you'll love this. As VR Violet is a duochrome finish eyeshadow, it definitely works better when you apply it with your fingers. So I'm buffing this over the top of Prism, and then I'm going into the shade Blitz Blue, which is so gorgeous. It's my favourite colour in the entire palette, and because it is so pigmented I'm going back in with my dedicated blue-green brush. I'm patting that over the area that we applied the Scandalised pencil. So I'm using a patting motion to apply that to the outer half of the mobile lid, and then patting what's left on the bristles towards the centre so we can migrate between the two shades. Although my 206 brush is slightly ovaled, it is still quite flat from the side, so it means you can actually pop this into your socket and work it backwards and forwards without overwhelming the eye with eyeshadow. So I'm using a very light amount of the shade Depth from the palette, which is a dark matte brown, and I've really dusted off the excess and I'm just working this in over the seam of the blue eyeshadow. And now I'm going back in with my flat shader brush to redefine the shape because I really want to elongate the shape of the eye, but I don't want to take it too high, so I'm keeping it perpendicular to the highest point of the socket line. So this will be the highest point of the socket that's in line with your pupil. You can see why I'm using a flat shader brush because the bristles are really flat, which gives you an edge to work with. So here I'm using the tip of the bristles to create that shape, and I'm using a light patting motion so that I don't dispense too much eyeshadow. I'm using the tip of my 206 brush to dust that eyeshadow from the outer edge towards the centre of the socket so that we don't extend the outer edge but we can blend and soften the seams. So rather than pulling the colour outwards, you're pulling the colour inwards. Remember to use a light hand, again not to overwhelm that small space with a ton of eyeshadow. You can see we're applying such a little amount and using small left to right blending techniques to soften that seam. So this is what it looks like from the front. As you can see, it elongates the shape of the eye. That blue is so stunning. Going back to the palette, we're taking the shade Pale Gold 002, which is a light gold in a metallic finish. Again, definitely goes on better with your finger. And I'm popping this on between the VR Violet shade and the Blitz Blue. Once I've laid down the first layer of that eyeshadow, I use what's left on my finger to bounce over the seam between Blitz Blue and the VR Violet, so there's a transition between those shades. Next I'm taking the 207 pencil blender, and I'm going to use this to accidentally muck up underneath my eyes. That's what happens when you forget to tap off the excess product, but this is a really good opportunity to show you how I fix it. So I'm taking my Micellar Water by Dr. Sam, and I'm using a cotton bud to remove the excess product from the skin, and then you just bounce over it with your foundation again. So now we are back to where we needed to be. I'm going to connect the outer corner with the top lid. Then I'm going to use a dry cotton bud, which I would have done had I not needed to clean up in the first place. This is to make sure there's no additional pigment fall down in this area. Before going in with my new favourite brush, this is the 208 Precision Angled Brush, and I'm going to use this to create the crispest line. I'm going in with foundation first. This is just going to help get rid of the redness that I've created with the cotton bud, and it will help to define the outer edge of the shape that we're creating. This is such a tiny brush, it's fantastic, and again it is synthetic, so it's great with cream and powder products. So I've just cleaned up underneath the lower eyelashes, and I'm also going to extend this to the top wing. Then I'm going to clean the bristles and dip that into the blue Blitz, and this is where we really create that sharp wing. You can of course lay down some tape to create a really sharp wing, but today I wanted to show you how you can do this with this particular brush because it's fantastic. So I'm using that to extend the blue up, and then we're going to work on the outer edge where it meets the tail of the eyebrow so that it is nice and seamless. First off, you want to pull the colours up and outwards, and then you want to start blending between the two shades, which is the transitional shade that we've got up towards the brow bone and that blue shade. So we're going back in with our 206 blending brush to do this. Then using a clean blending brush, I'm softly taking away a little bit of the colour that's left over so it blends away into the skin. And as you can see, we have a beautiful gradient of shades. Next up, I'm taking the 204 Smudge It brush. I love these. I have one by Zoeva, which you know I adore, but their brushes are becoming more difficult to get your hands on. So I'm using this one today, and hopefully you guys will love it too. I'm taking the pale gold in the centre of the lower lash line and blending that backwards to meet the blue Blitz shade. And then I'm going in with the VR Violet shade on the inner corner of the eye and across the tear duct to meet the pale gold. Another must-have from What's Up Beauty is this small flat shader brush. This is the R111 and it's tiny and it's perfect for inner corners of the eyes, the brow bone. It's wonderful. So I'm using this to put the Skin Show Nude on the inner corner of the eyes and also the brow bone, and it has a really subtle frosted finish to it. It's so pretty and it's a great way to add a kind of flesh tone highlight in these areas. This is clearly an optional step. You might find that the shimmery shades are all a bit too much for you, but I just really wanted to have a good play with this eyeshadow palette and use as many of the colours as I possibly could. Along the waterline, I'm applying this Makeup Forever Aqua XL in the shade S20, which is a satiny navy blue, which works perfect with this eye colour palette. You could of course use a black one if you want it to be more intense, or if you've got quite small eyes, you can apply a flesh colour or cream colour in this area to make your eyes look bigger. Then giving the lashes a curl using my Refa eyelash colours before going in with the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Push Up Mascara. I am going to apply some individual lashes, but I'll show you with the mascara finished so you guys can see how it looks without the addition of some individual clusters, and then you guys can make a decision as to which you prefer, because I know not everybody likes to apply eyelashes. If you are going down the false eyelash route, I wouldn't advise wearing a strip lash because you don't want to cover up any of this beautiful shimmery pigment. So this is how it looks with just a couple of coats of mascara. This would be perfect for a festival such as Coachella or any summery festival. And then if you want to make your eyes just a little bit more feminine, you can apply some individual cluster lashes. You can get some dovetail or fishtail lashes. You can get them super cheap from places like AliExpress. You can get them for as little as £1. I like to apply a layer of lashes all the way across in dovetail first, and then I like to go in with some individual spikes just to add a little bit of shape and dimension. These sets are from a company that are a little bit more on the expensive side. However, I will list and link the cheaper versions in the description bar for your convenience. I love these eyelashes because they don't overwhelm the eye. They extend the length of your lashes, but because they're spiky, you can see through them, so you don't lose any of that beautiful eyeshadow work, but you still get a sultry feminine finish to the eyes. So that completes today's beautiful makeup tutorial. I adore this eyeshadow palette. I don't think anything is worth £119, but the pigment payoff is incredible. Would I recommend it? 1000%. Was I stupid enough to buy two? Yes. So I do have another palette on the warmer tones, which I'm going to do a tutorial with. If you do have the cash to splash, I will link this palette in the tutorial along with everything else that I've used. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a few days with another video. Bye guys!